A federal appeals court in Washington, D.C. has agreed to rehear arguments in the Michael Flynn case. Now, the court said it would throw out a previous ruling to dismiss Flynn's criminal charge. It will also hear more arguments about a lower court judge's attempt to investigate the Justice Department and its move to dismiss the case back in May. Joining us now to talk more about this and the investigation into the investigators is former Trump campaign advisor and Newsmax contributor George Papadopoulos. George, great to see you again.
Thanks for having me, John.
All right, we always mention George's book, the great book, Deep State Target, How I Got Caught in the Crosshairs of the Plot to Bring Down President Trump. All right, so George, I guess this case will never end, will it?
Well, look, the legal and the political saga surrounding General Michael Flynn's case, unfortunately, has not ended for him. And this latest ruling certainly is a blow to both General Flynn and his team. But there's something we can't forget about the beautiful country that we live in, and that's the rule of law. Lady Justice is often depicted as wearing a blindfold or being blind because what the blindfold is supposed to represent is an impartial justice system, one in which the rule of law is applied with disregard to wealth, power, or political affiliation. And simply because General Flynn was a Trump supporter, he should not have to go through this. Most legal pundits who are unbiased and have no skin in this game think that this ruling is extremely bizarre, and it simply looks that this judge wants the final say in General Flynn's fate, and he wants him to not be exonerated, but to force the president to have to pardon him. That's exactly what this looks like.
That does appear what this looks like. Judge Emmett Sullivan seems to have a big problem with the fact that Michael Flynn did plead guilty in his courtroom and admitted under oath that he was guilty of the charges that he was accused of. But now that we've had further involvement from the Justice Department and a lot more information has come out that the Justice Department, the FBI had exculpatory evidence on Michael Flynn, knew he wasn't working with Russia, yet they pursued the investigation in the first place, which, again, proves the fact, and something that we've had Michael Flynn's own attorney, Sidney Powell, tell us, is that he felt pressure to testify because of the weight of the investigation against him and what he was up against. What a lot of people in this country rightfully fear is, a lengthy, protracted, expensive legal battle. And Michael Flynn wanted to put an end to it. But this is the problem here. This Judge Emmett Sullivan can't seem to get around that issue, can he?
That's exactly what it seems is going on here. And something else that belies common sense and justice. You mentioned the investigation into the investigators. We've had numerous pieces of exculpatory evidence that have come out over the last couple months, which completely suggest and overwhelmingly support the conclusion that General Flynn was indeed set up. We have criminal investigations into the same investigators who looked into General Flynn and ended up prosecuting him. If that in itself is not enough information for the judge to drop this case, the judge seems to be completely politicizing every aspect of General Flynn's case and does not want to drop it for nothing more than a political vendetta, in my estimation. There's just absolutely no other reason that General Flynn is continuing to go through the ringer the way he has been the last 2 years, unless this is political. Politics needs to get out of the Justice Department.
Yeah, the judge said some pretty horrible things, too, about Michael Flynn that, we now believe to be incorrect. And that would basically mean the judge has to admit that he was wrong. And at the same time, I think that's what makes this difficult as well. Now, George, we also saw some very, we'll call it interesting testimony from the Attorney General this week. He talked about this ongoing investigation. He mentioned he has another U.S. attorney working on this case. I always check in with you every week when we talk about this because you drop little hints on Twitter all the time about the prospect of criminal charges against FBI officials, former FBI officials. Where do you think we are in this process, and how long is it going to be before we finally get some more information on this John Durham investigation?
Well, we had some tidbits of information that people were looking into the bizarre unmasking requests of Trump associates during the campaign and through the transition. But we did not have clear evidence until Attorney General Barr, during his testimony, mentioned that Attorney Bash of Texas is actively looking into and investigating the unmasking requests of various Trump associates, including General Flynn. Now, what I believe is going to come out of this is going to show even more information and evidence of how politicized and political the investigation actually was into General Michael Flynn. And this should further augment the new information, and I believe what Sidney Powell should be utilizing to defend her client, that this was a political hit job against General Flynn and that he should never have been targeted for no purpose whatsoever outside of being an advisor to a rival presidential campaign. We've tried predicting indictments. We do know that people like Andy McCabe and Kevin Kleinsmith committed crimes. This is not innuendo. This is public fact. Andy McCabe lied under oath, under penalty of perjury 3 times. He was never prosecuted.
Right. You were. Roger Stone was. Other Trump administration officials were for lying under oath. There does seem to be a double standard here, George, and hopefully they'll get to the bottom of it. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you, John.
Newsmax TV is now America's fastest growing cable news channel. We give you the real news you need. So subscribe to our YouTube channel and give us a thumbs up. If you like this video, share it with your friends. Newsmax TV streams live on YouTube for free. Newsmax TV, real news for real people.